Welcome to the SVG-TV news for Monday, May 8th. I am Callum Cato with the details. The 2023 edition of Vincy Mas, dubbed the hottest carnival in the Caribbean, officially got off to a start on Saturday. The launching activities held inside Carnival City Victoria Park started with a family fun day, followed by the official ceremony. Minister of the Public Service, Consumer Affairs and Sports, Frederick Stevenson, declared the commencement of Vincy Mas 2023 in the absence of Minister of Culture and Tourism, Carlos James, who is out of state on official business. Minister Stevenson encouraged persons in the diaspora to come home and enjoy the activities for Vincy Mas 2023.
We are celebrating another Vincy Mas. We are here at the start of our carnival festivities. And I want to encourage all Vincentians to be a part of these activities. I'm also encouraging our friends and to say welcome to visitors to St. Vincent and the Grenadines to be a part of our carnival. We have had and have been the best carnival throughout the region over the many years. And I'm saying to persons to come down and come and visit St. Vincent and the Grenadines to be a part of these festivities. Let us enjoy ourselves. Let us keep the violence and the crime away. Let us all do what we can do to make Vincy Mas even bigger and better in 2023.
Also encouraging persons to support the festival was Chairman of the Carnival Development Corporation, Ricardo Adams, who outlined some of the upcoming activities for Vincy Mas 2023.
Slated to begin on the 19th of May. Mass bands are working hard in the camps, and many have already launched their costume presentations for 2023, and some have already had some sections sold out. Steel orchestras are in rehearsals, both at the senior and in the junior and also the school community band levels. Rural carnivals have presented a program of events with the inclusion of aspects of pageantry, mass, steel pan, and calypso. I always say, if you can't make it for the main festival, come for the warm-up rural carnivals and enjoy a burst of the energy. In 2023, we will be separating the Raga Soca Monarch and the Soca Monarch shows. And the Raga Soca competition will form part of EVO on Friday, July 7th. We always say that Raga Soca is our music, and EVO showcases the evolution of Vincy Mas music. So we think the synergy of the two is a natural fit. We still have our Calypso semis, Steel and Glitter, our junior shows, Soca Monarch, and the Marsh Grass shows in the traditional formats. So there's a full program of events for visitors. For those of you, however, who wish to experience the privately promoted events, we actually have a few promoters here this evening who are eager to give you information about their events. So please visit the tents around the park and support them also.
Here's a snippet of some of the performances at the Carnival launch on Saturday night.
Well, if I get into every video, they put that pump up on the ground. Come press it down on the ground. Come put your bump up on the ground.
Say they love you. That don't mean you don't get in good. That don't mean you don't get in good. That don't mean you don't get in good. They say they love you. I am living proof that the other day I went to well of soca, now this I have to say. Get on, drink a whole lot of rum. And then me mother. Me alone drink a whole lot of rum. And then me. What me do? I sit down and I watch up in the sky all day long. And I just start to go. I never feel so since I'm born. Somebody tell me that is hard. When you get in the rain, when you get in the rain, when you get in the rain, she wants you wet, 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 wet. When you get in the rain, when you get in the rain, when you get in the rain, she wants you wet, wet, wet.
My dreams are big go England.
My dreams to go Beckwith, Beckwith. Everybody dreams of big go Canada. My dreams to go Beckwith. I don't need no visa, I don't need no passport. All I need is a suitcase and a passport. I don't need no visa, I don't need no passport. All I need is a suitcase and a passport.
On SVG-TV's Viewpoint program on Sunday evening, the CDC chairman expressed disappointment with the turnout for the launch of Vincy Mas 2023. Adams said in their opinion, they put on a good production starting with the Family Day Fair at 10 a.m. However, the support was not what they anticipated.
We recognize that the CDC right now is not attracting the levels of crowds that we traditionally have. We recognize that. There's no hiding from that fact. We know that the CDC is, when you say CDC, people get very excited, and a lot of people basically come down on two sides of the fence. So the CDC is a very polarizing entity as it stands right now.
Why do you think that is?
One of the things that has happened is the CDC is an arm of the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, right? And there you can see it in a lot of the cases where the people who are very critical of the CDC are also very critical of a lot of other things to do with the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and the people who are very supportive of the CDC are also very supportive of. So we recognize that in any country where there's a very strong political divide, that any entity that represents one side or the other is going to be judged, and when it's possible for them to become a proxy for a government, then that happens. We also recognize that there are challenges. Somebody said to us, you know what you need to do? You need to do it free. Right? I had that comment. What you needed to do was make Victoria Park free. Don't charge $20. Right? But then I'm pretty sure that some of our artists would come back around and say, but they need to be paid because they're not singing free. The security forces that provide the security, they're not doing it free. The sound system is not doing it free. The lights is not free.
Okay.
You understand? So we would love to do it free if we can get the sponsorship to do it that way. Right? But I think I don't think that $20 is an unreasonable amount to charge for a show with a live band and live performances.
Adams said currently there is a strong anti-CDC sentiment and a strong push across certain elements of the media discrediting the CDC and Vincy Mas.
I think that's intentional.
Yes, I do.
Why? Why would someone want to harm Vincy Mas as a product?
Well, that's the question I keep asking, because at the end of it, if Vincy Mas as a product is damaged, who do we damage? We damage ourselves. If Vincy Mas as a product is damaged, right? Chiwali spoke earlier about music being released and so on, right? If Vincy Mas as a product is damaged and we don't have people coming to Vincy Mas because we tell the world that, oh, there's issues with Vincy Mas, etc., right? At the end of it, our soca artists are not going to get the performances that they normally would.
Right.
Our mass people, right? A lot of our mass bands are actually being sold, a lot of our mass costumes are being sold to people who are coming from outside of St. Vincent. So I always ask the question, because I say that we don't do Vincy Mas for the CDC. We do Vincy Mas for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And so there are a lot of people who rejoice in the fact that that when the CDC doesn't have a successful show, there are a lot of people who rejoice.
Despite the challenges, Adams said things are, however, shaping up for this year's festival, with more people anticipated to come from abroad, as there is more airlift service, and a lot of hotels have already been booked out.
And orchestras are in the panyards preparing not only the senior pansides, but the community pansides, which are the junior community pansides, as well as a couple of the schools. Again, there's some challenges with the schools in terms of availability of instruments and arrangers, but we're trying our best to work on those through the Yulupan movement. Calypso, We've had a couple calypsos released. The Calypso 10 should begin on the 19th of May. That's what we've been advised. So we expect that over the next couple of weeks, we're definitely going to see the Calypsonians releasing more material. Soca music has started coming out. We've had a few releases. I'm actually quite pleased with some of the Raga Soca that I'm hearing coming out this year. But we've had a few releases. They're coming out kind of slowly, but I anticipate that in the next couple of weeks, and I'm sure Lester will speak more to that because he's probably sleeping in the studio. But within the next couple of weeks, I'm sure we're gonna have a lot more soca music out. The carnival bands, most of them have launched, and there are a couple of them that already have sold out sections. There are people who are complaining about some of the prices that they're seeing, but the costumes are being sold. So that says that there's an appetite for what is happening. So we're seeing the components getting themselves prepared to come and participate in Vincy Mas. We've been able to establish a link with Caribbean Airlines this year. So Caribbean Airlines is coming online as one of our partners, as the official airline of Vincy Mas, which will give us a lot better access now because we anticipate that they would increase the number of flights coming to St. Vincent. And of course, other airlines have stepped up their flight schedules. So we anticipate that the numbers coming to Vincy Mas are going to be much higher than they were not only last year, but prior to the COVID hitting us.
Music producer Lester Iroha, who said he is in a unique position to view Vincy Mas from many perspectives, said in terms of support, it will be very successful this year. However, for the artist, the jury is still out.
You know, the metrics are going to show in terms of turnout, in terms of, you know, those metrics. It's going to be a very successful carnival because we are already seeing a lot of interest, as Ricky said, from people in the diaspora, you know what I mean, foreign people who coming in, you know, some of the event tickets that are early bird online, they already began, they're already starting to move, you know, which is also a good indication to show you that, yes, there's a strong interest in what we have to offer here, you know. So on that front, we know that we're all good, but at the same time, we have to look. I have to take off that hat and then put on the other hat, you know what I mean? And then we have to ask ourselves internally now, how is the carnival looking? For example, the artists, you know what I mean? Is this going to be a very successful season for artists, performance-wise? That now is looking a bit ticklish, you know what I mean? Now, we also have to pay very close attention to that because I always say that the music is the foundation of carnival. And I think that we don't ever pay enough respect to that element of it. If we do not have good music, it directly affects everything going forward. It affects your turnout, it affects how much people come to the carnival, it affects how you can market the carnival, it affects people who are in the carnival, consuming the carnival products. You understand? So that is a very, very important element of carnival that I think is often overlooked you know what I mean? The artists are often they critiqued, you know what I mean? They're pulled apart for their lyrics, for their creative contributions, and at the same time, we need them. Without them, what do we have? You know what I mean? So I think there needs to be a shift in the tone, in the way that we view artists and the practitioners, because in reality, especially when it comes to music, without the music, we might as well just wrap up and close our trap.
Chiwali Johnson said while he also expects a lot of people to be coming for Vincy Mas this year, including first-time visitors, he is a bit worried about the landscape of the festival, particularly the creatives.
The panman, the mass builder, the soca artists, and affecting the soca artists also affects the producer as well. The carnival is becoming one such where the persons who create that atmosphere can't necessarily see a means of making anything back from it.
When you say the persons, who are you talking about?
Well, like the soca artists, right? We've been seeing less and less stage shows over the years, right? And promoters are leaning towards DJs. Obviously, it's cheaper for them, right? But at the same time, if you're an artist, you're thinking, well, I put out 2 or 3 hot songs for the carnival. You know, I hoping to get, 4 or 5 gigs, which is a small number compared to many other countries, right? So you can find yourself in a position where you're at an event and a person would say, yo, I like a song for this year, song real bad. A DJ playing it, he's getting paid, but you paid to go to that event to hear your own music. You understand me? So, like I said, I have that experience. I've had experiences where I've had a big song for the carnival, from Minstrel, Cheap and a Woman, that sort of thing, and I saw what I made, and I know a lot of other artists, they experience the same things. So, like I said, I expect the carnival for the patrons to be really well. They love the rural events. They love the all-inclusive events and so on. They're going to dress nice, they're going to enjoy themselves, they're going to hear some really nice music. The music coming out a little slow, in terms of the known artists, but there's probably already 100 songs out already. A lot of new artists putting out content, a lot of rock, soca, you know what I mean? So the music is coming, I've been hearing stuff, you understand me? But I'm a bit concerned.
As to his own participation in Vincy Mas 2023, Choali said while he will be taking part in some aspects, he is still not sure about his participation in soca, noting that he is still feeling things out. In other news, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves has said in an interview with BBC News that having a British monarch as head of state of St. Vincent and the Grenadines is an absurdity he would like to see end in his lifetime. According to the BBC, Prime Minister Gonsalves, who attended the coronation of King Charles on Saturday in London, England, said he would welcome an apology from the British state and monarchy on past injustices relating to slavery. He said in the interview that he believes King Charles III, who is the head of state of 8 Caribbean countries, is open to talking about reparations. Within the past year, political leaders in Belize, the Bahamas, Grenada, Jamaica, St. Kitts and Nevis, and Antigua and Barbuda have all indicated their plans to review their position as constitutional monarchies. Speaking to the BBC 2 days after the coronation, Prime Minister Gonsalves said the current constitutional arrangement offends people in a psychological way, and his country, SVG, wanted a president selected by our own constitutional processes.
Even though we are the British monarch is our monarch, we do not swear anymore an oath to His Majesty, or indeed even immediately before Her Majesty, her heirs and successors. So help me God. We swear allegiance to the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I don't accept, and I cannot accept, that someone who is born in the United Kingdom, grows up in the United Kingdom, lives in the United Kingdom, can be the King of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, even though there is a local Governor General. And at the same time, we recognize the complexities of the fever of our history, and that we would very much remain in the Commonwealth if in fact such.
In 2009, St. Vincent and the Grenadines held a referendum to decide whether or not to transition to a republic. 45% of voters chose to replace Queen Elizabeth II with a ceremonial president, falling far short of the 2/3 majority required. PM Gonsalves told the BBC that he would like to try again. According to a recent poll conducted in 15 countries where the king is head of state, St. Vincent and the Grenadines is among those most opposed to becoming a republic. Reports are that the survey conducted by UK politician turned pollster Lord Ashcroft suggests that the idea would be rejected by a majority of 63% to 34%. The Lord Ashcroft polls reportedly interviewed 22,701 adults across the 15 countries between February 6th and March 23rd. An official funeral was held today for former Senator and Speaker of the House of Assembly Denny Wilson, who passed away on April 7th. The funeral service was held at the St. Matthias Anglican Church in Union Island, where Wilson grew up. Addressing the gathering, Minister responsible for the public service, Frederick Stevenson, said though he did not know Wilson in a personal capacity, from all reports, he had a very distinguished career in politics and in foreign service.
And when he was the Speaker of the House of Assembly, he became a member of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association. Mr. Wilson held several distinguished positions at the United Nations and chaired several of the United Nations body, and was always someone who showed his love and care for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. When I worked here in Union Island as a supervisor for the customs, and being an Anglican, I had the opportunity of assisting Father Garraway in services here at this St. Matthias Church. And the name Denny Wilson and the Wilson family was a very significant name in this church. They funded several organizations and did several works on this particular church, including its restoration and extensions. Today, St. Vincent and the Grenadines has lost a good man, a nation builder, an advocate for the development of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And so, on behalf of the government and people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and on my own behalf, I extend to the wife and children and relatives and families and friends of the late Mr. Denny Wilson the nation's deepest condolences. May his soul find rest in the God he loved and served, and the God who loved.
Leader of the opposition, Dr. Godwin Friday, also spoke highly of Wilson, noting that he made a tremendous contribution to St. Vincent and the Grenadines and its people.
A humble servant of the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and a person who truly exemplified the best in humanity. Mother Teresa said, "Give your hands to serve and your hearts to love." And Denny followed that principle. Throughout his remarkable life, he accomplished so many things. He was our country's ambassador to the United Nations, as you heard. He was a senator in our parliament, and then Speaker of our House of Assembly, our parliament. But perhaps what he would want us to say about his accomplishment, most of all, as his friend Glenn George said yesterday, at another ceremony we held to honor him and to remember him, what he would want us to say most of all is that he was an educator. His work as an educator showed him firsthand the tremendous importance of shaping young minds, of sowing the seeds of promising, productive adult lives. Throughout his life, he was committed to making our country better for those who would come after. He had a huge faith in the ability of our young people and an optimism in the future, which was conveyed often in that big smile and warm embrace whenever you meet him.
Following the funeral service, Wilson was buried at the Ashton Public Cemetery. Today, all flags were flown at half-mast across the state as a sign of respect for Denny. The Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force, the SVG-TV, is in mourning after losing one of its serving members. Dennis Prescott, Police Constable 932 from the Vermont Village, died on Sunday at his home after a brief illness. Constable Prescott was enlisted into the organization on December 9, 2015 and served the organization and people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines for 7 years. At the time of his death, he was attached to the Rapid Response Unit, the RRU. A news release says the Commissioner of Police, Colin John, and the other ranks of the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force convey their condolences to Constable Prescott's family and friends in their time of mourning. And police are investigating the death of Jamalo Ice Dunbar, a 31-year-old laborer from Rillen Hill, whose death has been recorded as the most recent homicide in St. Vincent and the Grenadines for the year 2023. Police say on Saturday, shortly after midnight, Dunbar was reportedly approached and shot about his body in Arnesvale by an unknown assailant. A post-mortem examination is expected to be carried out on the body to ascertain the cause of death. Police are appealing to members of the public with any information that can aid with the investigation to contact the officer in charge of the South Central Division at telephone number 458-4200 or the Criminal Investigations Department or Major Crimes Unit at 456-1810 or 457-1211 extension 4837 or 4839 or 999 or 911. The police say all calls will be treated confidentially. In preparation for the 2023 hurricane season, the National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, in collaboration with the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, SEDEMA, and the World Food Program, conducted a training workshop on the use of SEDEMA's Logistics Support System, CLS. The workshop, which commenced today at NEMO's conference room at its headquarters at New Montrose, will conclude on Friday, May 12th. The training workshop targets persons who were actively involved in NEMO's humanitarian relief efforts following the explosive eruptions of the La Soufrière volcano in 2021 and persons who are involved in the day-to-day management of warehouses. Speaking at the opening ceremony, Deputy Director of NEMO, Kenson Stoddard, said the main objective of the workshop is to train a cadre of persons in the use of the regional logistics support system and to build capacity at the national level to support relief efforts in response to emergencies.
Most of us are well aware of our circumstances as a nation. We are prone to a lot of hazards. We are, of course, blessed with beauty, but we must understand and recognize that part of that beauty is a consequence of our geography. And the geography we refer to would be our geologic history, and of course the fact that we are smack in the zone, in the North Atlantic zone, hurricane zone. It means therefore that as a country we are highly exposed to tropical systems, whether it be hurricane, tropical storms or rainfall events. We face these threats every year, and so it is necessary for us to be at a certain level in terms of preparedness. We also face the threats of geological hazards, and in 2021 we had our own experiences with the La Soufrière eruptive volcano.
The Stoddard noted that the past events of national disasters, including the explosive eruption of La Soufrière, highlighted significant gaps in the country's national emergency mechanism.
We have been trying to address those gaps in recent years. So last year, we recognized from our after-action reviews that we're not where we need to be in terms of logistics. All right? And NEMO have taken steps to close that gap, to build our capacity in country to support logistics. We started with a small draft document for our logistics plan. We expect in the coming year to complete that document, and so by 2024 we should have a national logistics plan. Secondly, we, through SEDEMA and with the support of the University of the West Indies, we worked with a cohort of about 45 persons in country from all of the ministries and so on. We selected a cohort of persons, and they completed a course in logistic and support management. And so we are building our capacity in country to support logistics, to support humanitarian assistance and relief and disaster relief. And this is an extremely important area. And we saw that coming out of the last of volcanic eruption.
He outlined some of the activities that the participants will be engaging in during the training exercise.
Of course, we have here integrated ICT in the logistics process. We recognize the importance of ICT in logistics, and I hope that everyone in this room would benefit. I know that some of us have been exposed to the CDMA logistics system, but you haven't had the formal training, and so the formal training comes this week. Okay? Of course, we appreciate that logistics is more than using a software, and that is what we hope to tighten when we update the National Emergency Management Plan, our CDM policy, and also our National Emergency and Disaster Act. Those 3 documents should be complete by the end of 2024 as well. And of course, the logistic plan would be annexed to the National Emergency Management Plan.
The local Red Cross Society today joined the international community in celebrating World Red Cross Day under the theme, "Everything we do comes from the heart." In commemoration of the day, students of the Clear Valley Primary School, supported by the Red Cross, undertook a voluntary project to repaint the "Welcome to Clear Valley" sign. Speaking on their work in the Vincentian Society, President of the local Red Cross Society, Alston Anderson, gave an overview of the organization and listed several principles that have guided their work over the years.
St. Vincent and the Grenadines Red Cross Society was founded on July 15th, 1949, as a branch of the British Red Cross. But in 1984, we became an independent national society. Then the legal status was enhanced by the passage of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Red Cross Society Incorporation Act, number 13 of 1984. And following this, the Constitution with the amendment bylaw was adopted. So the National Society, and that's the Red Cross Society, gained full membership of the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies in 1989. And I must hasten to say, we are guided by many principles of international humanitarian law. And I'd just like to go through these principles, because the Red Cross is hinged on these. They are humanity, which I think is the most important one, impartiality, neutrality, independence, voluntary service, unity, and universality.
The celebration activities for World Red Cross Day today included a march and rally in capital Kingstown.